A new upcoming MMO coming on the 31st of August 2021, brought to you by the company that revolutionized free next day delivery. They have an online video platform which can rival Netflix with its extensively large catalogue of movies and TV series for you to watch. They own the most popular live streaming gaming platform in the world. Wait, we are talking about Amazon that deliver parcels and charge more to watch a movie or a TV series on your PC than the old Blockbuster late return fees when you couldn't be bothered to take it back on time. They're making an MMO and we're excited about it. Actually, we really are. But why?
I'm talking about this. See, money doesn't just buy you a better life.
Oh yeah, that's right. They've got a truckload of money. And if anyone can pull off the impossible, it's them. What you do need to know about the game before we jump in is that it's got no subscription. So all you do is pay the box cost. Once you've paid the box cost of $40, that's it. Pick up and play when you want. There's been some worries around cash shops to supplement the lack of subscription, which Amazon themselves even spoke out about. But let's be honest, cash shops are just a modern day addition in MMOs nowadays. All we can hope for is that it's not pay to win, or it's a limited amount of pay to win. If it's an XP boost or a character boost or anything like that, months into the launch, when all the people that first started the game have actually already had the time to do it without any pay to win involved, I can sort of get on board with that, and I understand it, and I also see it coming, especially when it's a subscription free game basically. But for me personally, I'd actually rather pay a subscription. And I know it's a really weird thing to say, is I would rather pay a company money than not pay them money, but I would actually rather pay them money to play the game and keep the pay to win out of it. But that's not what this is about. This is about what do you need to know before the beta, or the closed beta, of New World. Let's get into it. Oh, first, make sure you like and subscribe. That really helps out. And if you want to see live streams, come over to SJ Gaming Live, where I'm going to be streaming the whole closed beta. Fun times, let's go. Weapons. So before we get into the combat system, what you'll need to understand first is the weapons. There's 9 weapon masteries, which all have their own skill trees. 2 skill trees per weapon, to be precise. These weapons are sword and shield, spear, hatchet, rapier, such a weird word, warhammer, bow, musket, old school gun, fire staff, and finally life staff. This is what you use to heal, I reckon, but you probably guessed that yourself. I'm not going to do a deep dive into all the weapons because there's an overview video and there will be separate videos coming looking at everything you need to know about each individual weapon. But let's just use the bow for an example. It's got 2 separate skill trees that you can put points in, which will give you passive skills and active skills. The 2 trees are skirmisher and hunter. The primary difference between the 2 trees are the skirmisher has the ability to kite, get out of trouble by gaining haste when surrounded, keeping debuffs on the target such as a poison shot, and then getting bonuses when you're attacking a target that has a debuff, such as gaining stamina. If you hit a target that's poisoned, you can potentially gain stamina. Spoiler, that is actually one of the skills. So you can see, if you wanted to compare this to World of Warcraft, it's probably your survival hunter. It's a nice mix of attack and defense. Whereas the other skill tree in New World for the bow is actually called the hunter, which is all about landing massive attacks at range, big crits, keeping out of the way of battles to destroy people before they even know that you're there. Rather than focusing on slows, it has a knockback to always try and keep that range if you do get in trouble. Little is known outside of the alpha, which testers are still under NDA for, around the life staff, but we do know how such a weapon is used. If you choose to use a life staff to heal, you're probably thinking, wait, how do I heal? How do I target anyone in an action game like this? Good question. You lock onto your friendlies, and as of the time of creating this video, you use your mouse wheel to scroll through your party members to use your healing abilities. Remember, a lot of New World is not about having hundreds of abilities to use on cooldown. Instead, it's a smart set of abilities based on 2 weapons. By the way, you get to equip 2 weapons, not at the same time, but you'll have one sheathed while you use the other, and you have those active abilities. And you need to use the right weapon in the right situation. That's about all I want to talk about when it comes to weapons, because you can use 2 of them. Each weapon's got 2 different skill trees for 2 different types of play styles, and yes, you can max every single weapon on one character. So you don't need ults in this game, even though ults will play a part at some point later in the game. But for now, you can focus purely on maxing everything out on one character, which, for a completionist like myself, I'm really looking forward to. The combat system. Think before you speak here, Scott. I said in multiple live streams, I stream on SJ Gaming Live, by the way, here on YouTube, and Scottejaye 87 over on Twitch, that the combat system has never really looked like something I would like, because I'm one of those typical old school tab target fanboys who wants hot bars full of abilities, or at least I thought I was. It turns out new can be exciting, and old, all it has is nostalgia. I'd compare the combat system to something like Destiny, if any of you beautiful viewers played that game or even still plays it. Is Destiny still a thing? Yeah, it's not a shooter, but it's an aim and shoot or aim and hit type combat system where you have to manually roll or dodge or block incoming attacks. The better you are, the less damage you will take, and the better you are at aiming at the enemy hitbox, the more damage you'll do. Much like Destiny, it also has abilities or active skills, like we mentioned before, with a weapons section, which you can use. It's not hundreds of abilities, but instead a small amount of extremely useful skills that must be used at the right time, not simply spammed or just pressed on cooldown to get maximum DPS. Nice, maximum effort that Deadpool says, isn't it? Yeah, that didn't work. But overall, combat system, action-based, not tab target, looks really, really engaging. It looks like you can really get involved in some big battles, which we're going to get onto PvP and PvE in a minute. Combat system overall, something fresh, something exciting. Not your typical WoW, Final Fantasy, or Star Wars The Old Republic, all these games that have done the same or similar combat system over the years. This is something fresh. Crafting. Oh boy, here we go. The system that I'm most excited about, more than player housing, which, by the way, we're going to talk about shortly. There's 3 types of activities that revolve around crafting. That's gathering, refining, and then the actual crafting itself. Let's start with the gathering skills, which are fairly straightforward. So you've got fishing, harvesting, logging, mining, and skinning. All of these require a tool to do, and each tool comes with its own perks. As you can imagine, fishing is, well, you use a fishing pole and you catch fish. Interestingly, engineering actually craft the fishing rods, and there's 5 separate tiers of rods that can be crafted. And when it comes to actually catching the fish, you can gather, cook, or straight up loot bait that you'll need to catch rare fish. There's also 11 unique perks, just out of interest, which are available for the fishing rods. Next up, harvesting. It's closely comparable to herbalism in World of Warcraft, but you use a sickle to farm plants, hemp, fungi, and even magical creatures can be gathered with a sickle. Materials you gather to refine from harvesting can be used for cooking, fibers for cloth, and other armor types. Logging requires a logging axe tool, so this is to chop down trees, but at this moment in time, if you want to chop down bushes to gather wood, it requires no tools, and this will allow you to place camps at any time, and these camps act as a respawn point for you or your party if they choose to bind themselves to your camp. If you're in a situation where you might die, expect to see lots of these camps spread all over the place because no one wants to do a long run back, do they? Mining needs a pickaxe, and quite honestly, I don't think I need to tell you much about mining. It's in every game I can think of, or some adaptation of it. The higher your mining skill, the better the ore that you can get from veins, including the chance of resources which are gemstones. I should probably say rare gemstones, but they're probably not going to be that rare. Skinning is much like mining is. It's in most MMOs, so you guessed it. You'll need a skinning knife, and whatever beast you kill, you can skin to get hides and meat. Hides will be used in armor, and meat will be used in cooking. Fairly straightforward. Now onto the refining. So this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, but really crafting is where it gets really interesting. So each of the refining skills, starting with smelting. With smelting, you're turning your ores into ingots. Stone cutting is to cut raw gems that you obtain from mining into useful gems, or to refine stone that you gather. Tanning is to refine your leather you gather from skinning. Weaving is to weave stuff. Yep, that's right. Weave stuff that you get from harvesting. And finally, woodworking is to refine the wood you get from chopping down trees into timber, lumber, or planks. So finally, let's just get on to the crafting skills that we've got in the game. So the crafting skills bring all of the gathering and refining skills together to create useful items. In fact, they're comparable or even better than endgame items from dungeons and stuff, which is going to be interesting to see pan out over time in Eternum. Did I even mention the world's called Eternum? Well, it's called Eternum. So there's 7 crafting skills. This is no deep dive into all of them. I'm just going to give you a quick, brief rundown of what each profession does. So you've got armoring, which makes armor, arcana, which makes potions, among other things such as magical weapons, weaponsmith for melee weapons, jewel crafters for trinkets, engineers for ranged weapons and ammo, oh, and apparently big fishing rods, cooks for food and drink, and finally, furnishers for house-related stuff like storage chests, furnitures, and trophies. As you can imagine, leveling any of these skills unlocks recipes as you go along, but you can also get well-dropped recipes, and there's a really interesting system in place which I like, is you can get artifact recipes. Now, these artifact recipes are going to be extremely powerful items, but they're single use. So you're going to want to gather the best materials you can, use the best crafting station in town that you can to make sure that you get the best possible outcome for this one-time use recipe. This reminds me much of the Night Sister Energy Lance in Star Wars Galaxies, where you would farm the Night Sister Queen to get the schematic, and I think it had 3 crafts. You had 3 chances of making one good item at least. This is one. This is single use. This could be painful. So you're going to want to make sure that you're doing all you can, but you've got to remember, you can get perks to your crafting. So you might want to build a crafting set. You might get chance of like a better roll when you create a weapon, as in, you roll, imagine a dice being rolled when you create a weapon, and you roll double 1. You're going to be the bottom end of the weapon damage gear score scowl. You know, let's say its gear score scowl could be between 300 and 320. You might roll a double 1 and you only get 300. You might roll double 6 and end up with, you know, the maximum gear score from it. So you can actually get perks on your items to be able to increase your chance of a decent roll. And also crafting stations will play a big part in this, because to make better items you need a better leveled crafting station, which will mean you need to level up the crafting stations in your faction owned settlements. So a lot comes into play when you're looking at crafting, and it's going to be quite an intricate system and a very RNG system, and that's what I'm really excited about. Factions. Look, there's 3 factions in Eternum: Marauders, Syndicate, and Covenant. This is going to make world PvP so interesting, because having 3 factions hashing it out to control as much territory as possible, just a bit more spice than your average Horde versus Alliance or Dark versus Light. I'll just quote this straight from the New World Wiki. The Marauders are a faction in New World. They're ruthless military force bent on establishing a free nation where anyone with the strength to do so can prosper and profit. Cool. The Syndicate are a faction whose secretive organisation of boundless guile and intellect in search of the forbidden knowledge to usher in a new age of enlightenment. That's intense. And finally, the Covenant are a faction who are a fanatical order that has charged itself with cleansing the land of heretics and defilers so that its true holy nature can flourish and justice can be restored. Look, I'll be clear, none of them really matter to me. I'm not that big of an RP or lore sort of guy. I mean, I know a lot of you are, and so your faction base, you know, those singular sentences for each of the factions, you know, straight away one of them will resonate with you and you'll be like, right, I'm definitely going Marauders, or I'm definitely going Syndicate. Me personally, I'm going to go for whatever one I like the look of the most. I'm probably going to end up at Syndicate, if I'm completely honest with you, because I like the sneaky underworld type sound of them. But like I say, for me, whatever the best faction is, that's what I'll be going. Player housing. How can I not get excited about this one? Yeah, I'm super excited, and because what's better than decorating your house or your room in real life? Creating it out of pixels and making it look even better than your house in real life. Firstly, houses are instant, so you and hundreds of other people can own the same plot, but you'll see your own house and how it's decorated, unless you're visiting someone else's house on exactly the same plot. Whilst on that, you can have swinger parties of up... Wait, did I just say swinger parties? I just meant parties. You can have 5 people in a house at a time, so you and your friends can come over for some poker, get your RP on, or more than likely just stand there, look at each other for 5 minutes, go, this is a really nice house, realise there's nothing to do, and go kill some bosses. You can quick travel to your house from anywhere in the world, which adds convenience as well as something cool to decorate when you're bored. Not all houses look the same, which is really good. You can have a house that ranges from 1 story to 3 stories. You can have a city centre house, detached houses, attached houses, or houses at the edge of the city. Some of these can even come with their very own garden, but on the wiki it's called an external area to decorate. Come on guys, the sun's out, come round my external area for a barbecue. It's a garden. PvE. The leveling experience won't be much different to any other MMO. Run around, do gathering quests, killing quests, and everything else that we've become accustomed to. Although, it appears that there's going to be some really, really interesting storyline quests in the game, which hopefully will deviate a little bit from the norm. The main quest givers are voiced, which is always a nice touch, for those of you that like the single-player immersion when leveling up. In terms of endgame PvE, this is where I remain slightly concerned, and hope these concerns are gone during the beta in the next couple of days. There's expeditions, which are basically New World's versions of dungeons. They're for 5 players and stick by the usual trinity of tank, healer and DPS. What makes me remain very hopeful is watching some of the IGN guys not be able to take a boss down in one of these expeditions. I truly hope the difficulty is of a good standard. And I'm not saying, wow guys, let's make this super hardcore. I just mean currently, on the wiki page, there is only a total of 6 expeditions. So unless these are being added pretty much on a monthly basis, for people who are only wanting a PvE experience, the content's going to be consumed quite fast. But there'll probably be recipes. Like I said before in the crafting system, there'll be those one-time artifact recipes that you'll probably be farming them for, going back trying to get them. And there's puzzles to solve in these expeditions, which look really interesting. And there's even a story throughout the expedition. So it should be quite an engaging experience. And let's be completely honest, none of us are new to MMOs. You know, once you've done it once, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I love this story. Next time, you're just skipping through all the dialogue. You're not really that bothered. You're just there for the loot. So like I say, expeditions are something that I'm hoping get added thick and fast. But you got to remember, there is still quite limited information. There could be a lot more than 6 expeditions. There's only 6 that we can publicly see. We'll know more in the next couple of days. PvP. Now, this is what New World's all about. The PvP it's got is extensive, and it was difficult where to put Outpost Rush, because it's actually PvPvE. So it falls in both categories, because it's 20v20 from 2 competing factions, where you fight for control of fortifications and resources. You don't just kill enemy players here to win. There's even random bosses that spawn that you have to kill, which give you an advantage over your enemy. There's lots of resource gathering that you have to go around and do. You have to build up your forts to be able to add big barrels of oil that you can pour down fire onto the enemy that are trying to get through. You can build big ballistas to tear through targets and smash down walls and smash down doors. You can upgrade your fort to reinforce the door to various different degrees. It looks really, really entertaining. It looks like, dare I say it, sorry WoW fans, it looks like Alterac Valley done right. In fact, it does remind me a little bit of Turtling in AV, if I'm completely honest. Then there's massive group combat where you have 50v50 attacking and defending, controlling territories. There's 1 to 5 player duels, which is just amazing. And I can truly see lots of people organising on their server dueling competitions where they're doing 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, 5v5, you know, even 1v1. But, you know, being able to group duel is absolutely genius. And the big organised territory sieges are going to be phenomenal, where you have plenty of time to sign up. It will be announced, and then you'll have to try and take the territory owned by a different faction, and then you gain all the benefits of that settlement. Or if you lose it, you lose all the benefits of that settlement, and you're going to have to find somewhere else. That's all I want to talk about today. I feel that probably gave you enough information to take away and really know whether you want to buy into New World. Does it sound interesting? Do the systems sound like there's something that resonate with you, and it's something that you want to invest your time and money into? Me personally, I can't wait. I'm so excited to start streaming tomorrow. But definitely stop by SJ Gaming Live and check me out, or look at me over on twitch.tv/Scottejaye87. But thank you for watching. If you stayed all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.